There are villages on Earth so beautiful that they seem to have come straight out of a fairy tale. They are nestled in the midst of majestic nature or hidden in historical stories spanning centuries. Each village is a unique masterpiece, formed by a special geographical location and the skillful hands of humans. Some are perched on cliffs, some are completely isolated from the outside world, but all make travelers stop for a long time just to admire. 1. Hallstatt, Austria. There is a place in the far west of Austria where the deep blue lake reflects the Alps like a giant mirror, and the dark wooden roofs nestle against the mountainside. That is Hallstatt, a village so beautiful that many people who come here for the first time think they have stepped into an ancient painting. Thousands of years ago, Hallstatt's real treasure was not gold or silver, but white salt hidden deep in the mountains. It was this white gold that brought prosperity, attracting people to settle here since ancient times. The houses in Hallstatt are built close together, taking advantage of every meter of rare land between the cliff and the water. The steep roofs withstand the snowy winters. The wooden walls are painted in warm colors, making the whole village bright even on a cold gray day. Above, the Mulbach waterfall falls like a silver ribbon, following the crevices of the rocks and merging into the calm waters of the Hallstätter Sea Lake. Church bells ring through the fresh air, footsteps echo on the small cobblestone streets, and everything here seems to take its time. Hallstatt is not only beautiful but also makes time stand still. 2. Lauterbrunnen, Switzerland. There is a valley in the heart of the Swiss Alps where waterfalls tumble from sheer cliffs like silver ribbons, their mist catching the sunlight in a dance of light and shadow. This is Lauterbrunnen, a place so breathtaking that J.R.R. Tolkien himself once wandered here, carrying its memory into the magical realm of Rivendell in The Lord of the Rings. Known as the Valley of 72 Waterfalls, it awakens in spring when melting snow and mountain rains swell the streams, sending cascades thundering down into the green depths below. The village rests quietly at the valley floor, surrounded by towering rock walls and snowy peaks. Wooden chalets stand proudly with their carved balconies and flower boxes overflowing in summer. The air carries the gentle clang of cowbells from nearby pastures, a sound as old as the mountains themselves, though travelers come from far away to see its wonders. Lauterbrunnen has kept the soul of Swiss alpine life, a place where nature's grandeur and human warmth intertwine. 3. Perched, Montenegro. In the calm embrace of the Bay of Kotor, where mountains rise steeply from the water like ancient guardians, lies Perched, a village that feels painted by the hand of time. The bay itself is often called a Mediterranean fjord, its mirror-like surface reflecting both the sky and the stone facades of the town. Perched clings to a narrow ribbon of coastline, a place where Venetian history still lingers in the air. Between the 15th and 18th centuries, this was a proud outpost of the Republic of Venice, and its wealth flowed into grand palaces, elegant churches, and bell towers that still chime across the water. Just offshore, 2 small islands add to the dreamlike scenery. One is the artificial island of Our Lady of the Rocks, born from centuries of sailors dropping stones and sinking old ships upon a reef until the land emerged. On it stands a white church that watches over the bay. The other, St. George Island, is a natural sanctuary, home to a Benedictine monastery and a quiet cemetery where local nobility rest. In Perched, every sunset turns the stone walls to gold, and every dawn carries the whisper of sails and sea winds from centuries past. Mandrakia, Greece. On the rugged shores of the island of Milos, there is a village so small that it feels like a secret whispered by the sea. This is Mandrakia, a humble fishing haven where the line between land and water is softened by the rhythm of the tides. Just a handful of houses stand here, each one pressed against the cliffs as if seeking shelter from the Aegean winds. Beneath them lie the kermatas, small, colorful boat garages carved into the rock or built at the cliff's base where fishermen store their boats and nets when the sea grows restless. Tradition holds that every family paints their kerma a different color, a splash of red, blue, green, or yellow so it can be recognized from far out at sea. In the quiet mornings, the water lies like glass, and the reflections of these painted doors shimmer on the surface. Just a short walk away is Klima, another village resting along a natural bay, where the calm, crystal-clear waters meet a narrow path that winds past doorways kissed by the salt air. In Mandrakia, life moves to the steady heartbeat of the waves, and the horizon always promises another story. 5. Positano, Italy. Along the sun-kissed Amalfi coast, where mountains plunge into the deep blue Tyrrhenian Sea, Positano clings to the cliffs like a cascade of pastel dreams. Legend tells of a ship that once carried a painting of the Virgin Mary, running aground near these shores. From the painting came a voice calling, "Posa! Posa! Stop! Stop!" And so the village took its name. Today, that same sense of destiny still lingers in its winding lanes and terraced houses. From the upper heights, narrow pedestrian streets zigzag downward, each turn revealing balconies draped in bougainvillea, shopfronts spilling with linen and ceramics, and glimpses of the glittering sea below. The scent of lemon blossoms drifts through the warm air, mingling with the distant sound of waves. At the bottom, the beach unfolds in smooth pebbles and inviting water, framed by cafes where time seems to slow. As the sun dips behind the Sorrento Peninsula, Positano glows in shades of gold and rose, a place where romance and legend meet on the edge of the sea. 6. Primošten, Croatia. Where the Dalmatian coast curves into the Adriatic Sea, there lies a small town that once guarded itself like a fortress. Primošten. In the Middle Ages, as Ottoman incursions threatened the coast, the villagers built their homes on a rocky island just offshore, connecting it to the mainland with a drawbridge that could be lifted in times of danger. Today, that island is forever joined to the land, but its heart still beats with the echo of history. The old town rises in gentle spirals, its narrow stone streets leading to the Church of St. George, which crowns the hilltop and gazes over the endless blue horizon. Around it, clusters of houses wear terracotta roofs that glow warm in the afternoon sun. Beyond the ancient walls, small coves cradled the sea, and lush pine forests scent the air with resin and salt. In summer, the shoreline hums with life, yet the center of Primošten remains steeped in the quiet dignity of its medieval past, a place where the sea has always been both a protector and a path to the world. 7. Reine and Henningsvær, Norway far above the Arctic Circle, where the sea carves deep channels between jagged peaks. The Lofoten Islands hold two of Norway's most iconic fishing villages, Reine and Henningsvær. Reine sits like a painting come to life, its red and white fishermen's cabins, or roerbuer, perched along the shoreline against a backdrop of towering mountains. Above it all looms Reinebringen, a steep and rocky summit whose stone staircase, built by Sherpas using traditional Himalayan techniques, rewards those who climb it with a view that feels almost unreal. Fjords stretching out like fingers of glass, dotted with islets and kissed by Arctic light. Henningsvær, spread across several small islands connected by slender bridges, has been a hub of cod fishing for centuries. In winter, when the great schools of Arctic cod arrive, the village hums with the rhythm of the sea, its drying racks lined with the season's catch. Here, buildings wear coats of red, yellow, and white, their reflections shimmering on calm waters. And tucked between cliffs, you'll find the village's most surprising gem, a football field embraced by natural rock terraces, perhaps the most dramatic sports ground in the world. In Reine and Henningsvær, the air is crisp, The sea is cold and life is woven from the salt and wind of the far north. 8. Grindelwald, Switzerland, in the shadow of the Eiger, where alpine meadows spill into valleys framed by jagged peaks, lies Grindelwald. A village that feels like the heart of the Swiss Alps, first mentioned in records as early as 1146. It remained a quiet mountain settlement until the 19th century, when the golden age of mountaineering brought adventurers from across Europe to its doorstep. Since then, its name has been spoken with a kind of reverence among those who love the high country. The village itself is a warm embrace of dark timber chalets, each adorned with carved balconies and flower boxes overflowing in summer. In the distance, green pastures stretch towards forests of fir and pine, while waterfalls tumble from sheer cliffs. Cows graze lazily in the sun, their bells echoing softly against the mountain walls. From the center of Grindelwald, a cable car ascends into the sky, carrying travelers to scenic lookouts and snowy slopes. Just beyond, Grindelwald First, a nearby summit, offers a panorama that can steal the breath even from those who know these mountains well. Here, every sunrise paints the peaks in gold, and every evening gathers the valley in a hush broken only by the whisper of the wind and Rhine. Mürren, Switzerland, high above the Lauterbrunnen Valley. Clinging to a mountainside where the air is crisp and thin, lies Mürren, a village that can only be reached by cable car or mountain train. The journey itself feels like entering a hidden world, one where the bustle of the lowlands fades away and nature reigns in sunce and grandeur. From its perch, Mürren offers one of the most breathtaking views in the Alps. The snow-draped trio of the Eiger, Mönch, and Jungfrau standing like eternal sentinels across the valley. The houses here follow the traditions of the Swiss highlands, steep pitched roofs to bear the weight of heavy snow, warm wooden walls and interiors that glow with the light of a hearth. In winter, the village becomes a wonderland of powdery slopes and frozen forests, while summer brings meadows alive with wildflowers swaying in the mountain breeze. Time moves gently in Mürren, and every path, whether lined with snow or grass, seems to lead to a view that stirs the soul. This is a place where the mountains are not just a backdrop, they are part of life itself. 10. Oia, Greece. Perched on the northern tip of Santorini, Oia is a vision in white and blue spilling down the cliffs that rise above the deep sapphire waters of the Aegean Sea. Once a humble settlement of fishermen, it has become one of the most photographed villages in the world, yet it still carries the timeless grace of its origins. The houses are carved into the volcanic rock, their rounded forms painted in dazzling white to reflect the sun, their doors and domes washed in shades of azure that mirror the sea below. To reach Oia from the small port of Amodi, one must climb a winding staircase that seems to defy the cliff's steepness. At each turn, narrow lanes open into tiny squares where boutiques, art galleries, and cafes blend seamlessly into the village's tranquil rhythm. As sunset approaches, people gather along the pathways and terraces to witness the spectacle. The sky igniting in gold, rose, and violet as the sun sinks into the horizon. In that moment, Oia feels less like a place and more like a dream that refuses to fade. 11 Ouray, United States, tucked deep within the San Juan Mountains of Colorado. Ouray is often called the Switzerland of America, and with good reason. Steep, pine-covered slopes rise sharply around the town, their peaks crowned with snow well into summer, while green valleys open wide like alpine meadows. The streets are lined with historic brick buildings from the mining boom of the late 19th century, their facades recalling the days when gold and silver fever drew dreamers to this rugged corner of the Rockies. Water is part of Ouray's soul. Snowmelt from the high peaks feeds clear rivers and streams while waterfalls tumble straight from cliff edges. Bear Creek roars from a sheer rock face, sending mist into the air, and just beyond town, hot springs bubble up from deep within the earth, offering warmth even on a winter's night. Here, adventure is never far. Trails wind into wildflower-filled basins, jeep roads climb into ghost towns, and every view feels like a painting in motion. In Ouray, the spirit of the Old West blends with the majesty of the mountains, creating a place where nature and history breathe as one. 12. Burano, Italy. Floating in the Venetian lagoon, Burano is a burst of color against the soft blues and greens of the water. Each house is painted in a vivid hue: crimson, lemon yellow, emerald, cobalt. A tradition said to have begun so fishermen could recognize their homes through the morning mist as they returned from the sea. Reflections ripple across the canals, turning the water into a living canvas that shifts with every breeze. Life here moves at a gentle pace. Narrow lanes lead to quiet squares where laundry sways above the cobblestones and the smell of fresh bread drifts from small bakeries. The leaning bell tower of the Church of San Martino tilts slightly against the sky, echoing its more famous cousin in Pisa. Burano is also known for its centuries-old lace-making tradition, a craft passed down from mother to daughter, each stitch a testament to patience and artistry. As the sun sets, the colors seem to glow even brighter, as if the village is reluctant to give the day away. 13. Paraty, Brazil. On Brazil's green coast, cradled between the mountains of the Serra da Bocaina and the emerald waters of the Atlantic, lies Paraty, a colonial gem that seems untouched by time. Founded in the early 17th century by the Portuguese, it flourished as a port for gold and coffee. Its wealth reflected in the graceful whitewashed buildings trimmed with brightly painted doors and windows. The historic center is closed to cars, and its cobblestone streets, polished smooth by centuries of footsteps, invite visitors to slow down and wander. What makes Paraty even more enchanting is its connection to the sea. At high tide, the ocean creeps gently into some of the streets, washing over the stones like a natural cleaning ritual. Around the town, dense Atlantic forests spill down the hillsides, hiding waterfalls, trails, and secret beaches. The scent of salt and tropical flowers lingers in the warm air, and in the evenings, music drifts from open doorways, mingling with the sound of waves. Paraty is a place where history breathes, nature thrives, and every moment feels suspended between past and present. 14. Setenil de las Bodegas, Spain. In the sun-baked hills of Andalusia, Setenil de las Bodegas hides in plain sight, woven seamlessly into the very rock from which it was born. Here, entire streets run beneath massive stone overhangs, the cliff itself forming the roofs of homes, cafes, and shops. The Trejo River carved this narrow canyon over thousands of years, and the villagers, instead of fighting the stone, embraced it, building their lives in its shelter. Whitewashed facades contrast sharply with the dark, weathered rock above, while vines and potted flowers spill color into the winding lanes. In summer, the stone keeps the interiors cool, and in winter it holds the warmth, creating a natural harmony between man and nature. Life flows at an unhurried pace. Neighbors greet each other from shaded doorways, and the smell of freshly baked bread mingles with the aroma of local olive oil. At dusk, the golden light of the setting sun brushes the cliffs, and the village seems to glow from within, as if the earth itself is telling an ancient story. 15. Atreni, Italy. On the rugged Amalfi coast, tucked between steep cliffs and the shimmering Tyrrhenian Sea, lies Atreni, one of the smallest villages in all of Italy, yet one of its most enchanting. Built at the mouth of the Dragon Valley, the village seems to rise in layers, houses stacked one upon another, linked by narrow alleys, stone staircases, and archways that create a labyrinth of light and shadow. From above, the Church of Santa Maria Maddalena stands proudly on a terrace, its Baroque facade gleaming white against the blue of the sea. Below, small fishing boats rest in the sheltered cove, their colors echoing the pastel tones of the village. Life in Atrani is simple and close to the rhythms of the coast. Mornings bring the smell of fresh bread from the bakery. Afternoons are filled with the murmur of the sea, and evenings glow with lantern light in the piazza. Though it sits just steps away from the busier towns of the Amalfi Coast, Atrani feels like a secret kept by the cliffs, a place where time pauses and the soul breathes easily.